Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. This is the Tuesday edition of the broadcast, January the 17th into the 18th, 2012. And we're so happy you could be with us here tonight for another live edition of the broadcast. We're going to be getting into news and information as usual for you here tonight. You never know where the topics of conversation are going to go. Love to have emails from you. In lieu of doing phone calls, I will never do that again. I fucking hate taking phone calls. I hated it for years when I had to do it. And I just hate because people that call in, man, they call in. A lot of them are good people. A lot of them are good callers. But for every 2 good ones, you got 10 people who want to call in and fucking hijack your show. So in lieu of that, what we do here now is we take emails. So, it works the same way. I kind of have to explain this because I get, people sometimes ask about phone calls and all this stuff. It works the same way. You send me an email, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. You would phrase your question like you would, imagine if you're going to call into a show. What's so hard about just typing that out and sending an email to somebody? It's the same thing. But some people, contrary to popular belief, I don't like to hear the sound of my own voice. It's just the way I get the information out. You know what I mean? So, some people do like to hear the sound of their own voice, and they just like to call in and hijack people's shows. And, oh, listen to this, man. I ramble on about bullshit for 30 minutes and ate up his whole show. I had people do that to me. I can't tell you how many times in the past. So if you have questions, comments, anything else like that, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's globalrealityshow@gmail.com. That's where you send in those type of, correspondence is the word I'm looking for. That's where you send that at. My website, where this broadcast originates from, is theglobalreality.com. That's theglobalreality.com. And that's where you find the links to the stream to listen to both the live show and the stream plays archive shows. We start streaming the show that is live immediately following the live show every time, and then archives and stuff throughout the course of the day and night, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week there. We also have the new Sunday night all music show that I'm doing now, dedicated just to music and to playing what I want to play, playing what I like, playing things, local bands, and exposing, the audience that we have for the show to more people. So if you want to get a break from me talking about this stuff and you just want to hear some music and chill and hear me talk about music as well, and I'll be able to have on, guests and stuff like that. I'm probably going to be doing like in-studio guests as well, because I have the capabilities to be able to do that. With everything I already have, I could set up microphones and have, guests come in and play live in the studio during the show. So I'm going to be doing that stuff as well. And so you'll find that up there, theglobalreality.com. My documentaries are up there. You can find most of my documentary films up there for free to watch. We don't have the See Right Volume 2 out. That won't be out for a while for free. It's going to be DVD and Blu-ray only for quite a while. And you can buy those copies up there at theglobalreality.com to the Buy SR2 tab. Click on that. You'll see all the different packages there. We are caught up on shipping, so if you have ordered, you should be getting your DVD or Blu-ray package very soon. And thanks again to all those people who have already gotten theirs and given us a good response about that. Appreciate that. Appreciate the feedback on that. So definitely go there and order that. Hey, our shipping banner has been kind of stagnant for about the past week or so. We got nothing new in the stream bill for the stream's going to come up due tomorrow. And right now we don't have the money to pay that. So we need you to donate and support and help us out. We always have the stream bill due this time of month, right in the middle of the month. So definitely go to the shipping banner, use that, or the donate button, whichever we want to use, and help us out so we can stay afloat. Because if we don't get this paid by tomorrow, there's not going to be more shows this week. Won't be a show tomorrow. We'll be a show a day after that until we get the money to pay it. So definitely help us out there if you can. We're trying to reach our goal for this month for the shipping banner, because we're having a 2012 kickoff fundraiser. We didn't have an end of the year fundraiser as we normally do last year, the end of 2011. So we started out the year 2012 with $16 and have pretty much consistently stayed around that level since the first of the month. So we got to reach that goal so we can pay the bills for the month, and so we can have a little cash for the expenses it's going to take to go out and get some of the do some of the coverage for the next film I'm going to be working on, which is going to be about mostly about the rock wall, but also about other some undiscovered and some covered up, but just basically hidden archaeology of the United States. That's really what the basis of that is going to be. So definitely help us out if you can. We're going to be also continuing to read our series of Zachariah Sitchin's The End of Days tonight. Started getting pretty good and pretty juicy last night, so we'll pick up with a new chapter. I think we're starting on chapter 4 tonight, so we'll be getting into that for you here as well. So definitely keep it locked here with us. Turn off that Coast to Coast AM. Put out a Facebook bulletin. Tell your friends to stop listening to Poodlehead Jeff Rentz and tune into this show, or quit listening to Snorri and tune in over here. Let's see what we have on the emails. I don't know if I mentioned this last night or not. Can't remember if I mentioned this last night. But if I did, I'm sorry. I just can't remember. I don't listen back to the shows after I do them, so sometimes I forget that I already mentioned stuff, and I go back and mention it again, and I forget about it. Then people are like, am I listening to a repeat? No, you're not listening to a repeat. Yes, I'm aware that I say some shit 2 days in a row exactly the same way. I'm human. Forgive me. But Paul McCartney, Macca Fall, he has a new album coming out next month, February 7th or 8th, something like that, called Kisses on the Bottom. Now, a lot of Paul McCartney's albums are anagrams. He's got one that's an anagram for Son of the Magician, which is very interesting, considering you have some people believe that Paul McCartney's like the son of Aleister Crowley or something like that. And, of course, they had Aleister Crowley twice, not once, but twice on the cover of Sgt. Pepper. And it's interesting on the cover of Sgt. Pepper as well. There's, it's a funeral scene going on there. With Paul's back faced away. They have the flowers there on the front that are, say, Paul in flowers, and it's like a base. On the cover of his new album, he's like making off with like a funeral bouquet. He's like running away with funeral flowers. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So I started looking to see if anybody had done any anagram work on this current album that's coming out, because I figured, well, a lot of his albums have anagrams, so I started looking into it. Well, Kisses on the Bottom alone, that title, and his story is that it comes from a line from an old song or some shit. Mac has always got some story about, oh, well, mate, it came from, we were all sitting around in Liverpool listening to the old standards. We came up with the name. We said, give us a name, love. They gave us Kisses on the Bottom. That's all it meant. He's always got some bullshit story, but immediate to me, and I'm sure a lot of you, what came into my mind was, where the origin of the term "kiss my ass" comes from the Templars, from when they would, do these various black magic rituals where they would, summon demons through severed heads and all this crazy shit. But what they would do at the end of these rituals, and one of the standard phrases, magical phrases that's used in magic and in all kinds of magic, Wiccan, Freemasons use it. But when you close out a magical incantation, a lot of times what you say is, of course, so mote it be, right? So mote it be. Well, kissing the Grand Master on the anus in Templar rituals is how they would end their rituals. They would do their conjuring, and they would do their spells, and at the end of it, they would all line up in a row. The Grand Master would bend over and expose his bare buttocks and spread his cheek so his pink starfish would stick out. And all these guys would line up and kiss him right on his anus because it was part of the magical ritual, the black magic stuff that they were into. That's why I think a lot of this pedophilia and all this homosexuality that goes on in the highest levels today stems from. But so I started working. I started looking around to see if anybody had done any of this anagram work for kisses on the bottom, and didn't find anything that anybody had found yet. So I started working on it myself. And lo and fucking behold, one of the things that you find when you start doing anagram work on kisses on the bottom, you find that the phrase "so mote it be" exists as a letter combination in the phrase kisses on the bottom. Now, I haven't figured out the rest of it. And yes, there are a whole bunch of different things the anagram could be. But to me, that was pretty fucking startling, man. I mean, I'm sure that there'll be 100 people after me that'll claim they found that and discovered that. But I've looked online, I've looked around, I haven't seen anybody else that has discovered that piece of info yet. But I'm sure it'll happen, and 6 months from now, I'll go, oh, yeah, I was the first guy that talked about that. And everybody will be like, no, you didn't. You weren't. You weren't. Oh, you didn't come up with that. You're lying. Blah, blah, blah. That's what always happens to me. That's happened to me a million times. Not that I care, but it has happened to me a lot. But that's just too big. That cannot be a coincidence. I don't care what the fuck Macca wants. Oh, love, we were listening to some records, man. Yeah, man, we were listening to records, and we were from Liverpool, man, and it was getting groovy, and all of a sudden, someone says, give us a title, man, and we went for Kisses on the Bottom. I know John would have really liked that title. It would have been a title that John would have really liked, yeah. It just happens to be So Mote It Be. A combination there. Come on. So kissing some Templar ass and just, it's just coincidence that So Mote It Be happens to be one of the word combinations you come up with there. Yeah, coincidence. Oh, absolutely. Nothing connected there. If you've never seen the documentary The Winged Beetle on YouTube, definitely going to watch that. And you'll get a better idea of the stuff that I'm talking about. Because there's definitely some stuff going on. I'll tell you an interesting thing. I meant to put this in the movie, but I just didn't have time to put it in there. What was Paul's Fall? I call him Fall, as in fake Paul. What was Fall's last wife's name? Not Linda, the one that died, but the one that had half a leg, old Peg Leg. What was that bitch's name? Took him totally to the cleaners. Well, the reason she took him totally to the cleaners is because she's got the dirt. Oh, yeah, baby. And I meant to put this in the See Right Volume 2. To me, it just kind of felt like I was, like it didn't really have it's interesting, but it kind of didn't have a place in the film. It kind of, especially relating to the other pieces of information, but I'll tell the information here. Maybe it'll make it in some subsequent film later on, but I can't, I'm just drawing a blank on what her name is now. She's McCartney's ex-wife, blonde. Well, she used to be a hooker, a high-priced call girl. And guess who her number one client was when she was a high dollar, $10,000 a night whore? You'll never guess. Adnan Khashoggi. Yes, our good buddy Adnan Khashoggi. Heather Mills. Thank you, Anon. Heather Mills was Adnan Khashoggi's number one bitch. He loved that pussy like he loves gold. Loved that pussy. I mean, he was shoveling out $10,000 a night every night of the week for like years for that ass. And according to Adnan Khashoggi's ex-secretary, Heather Mills didn't want to sell him the pussy anymore. One day, she decided she wanted to go legit, go find her a easy mark like Macca, and so Adnan Khashoggi was absolutely furious about this, and he pulled on some old school, you know what they do, like they do in Saudi Arabia and stuff. If you get caught stealing or you're practicing witchcraft, which is basically reading a book about anything it doesn't have to do with Islam. They actually have a fucking executioner, this guy that's passed down generationally that actually beheads people in public with a big fucking sword. Well, that's what Adnan Khashoggi did. He took a sword and he cut that bitch's fucking leg off and said, all right, you want out? You want out? You don't want to be my bitch anymore? Okay, cool. I'm fine with that. Whack! Took your leg, bitch. How about that? All right, you're out. Get the fuck out of here. Yeah, I don't want to fuck you now with one leg. Get the fuck out of my office. And she told everybody that she got in a motorbike accident with a boyfriend at the time and lost her leg. Not according to Adnan Khashoggi's former secretary. He whacked that bitch's leg off with a fucking sword, dude. Straight the fuck up. And the next thing you know, there again, there's Adnan Khashoggi hobnobbing with all these, these musicians and people like that, which I talk about in the film a little bit, but unbelievable stuff. Well, anyway, the point is, Heather Mills, supposedly, the reason that she got divorced from Paul McCartney had nothing, and she says this in interviews, it had nothing to do with infidelity, had nothing to do with marriage problems. They got along great. What happened was, apparently, is she caught that motherfucker. She found out that he's not really Paul McCartney, and that he was this guy who basically became Paul McCartney after the real Paul McCartney was killed. And supposedly she has a big bunch of this information, and if anything is to ever happen to her, there's several news people who these packages are already in a safety deposit box ready to go out to all the major media outlets. If anything ever shady or anything happens to her and she dies, it's going to go out all over to the media. And she said that it was bombshell stuff and nothing about infidelity or anything like that, but stuff that would shake every person on the planet to the core. And that's what she was talking about. She found out that he was who he said he was, and she said, "Okay, well, what I want is a divorce, and by the way, I want half your shit." She got like, I don't know how much did she get off him? $500 million or something? I mean, it was something ridiculous, dude. It was totally over the top. But yeah, that's hush money, man. Keep him on fall. Keep his mouth shut about fall and his, not really being him. Unbelievable stuff. But yeah, Khashoggi cut that bitch's leg off, dude. Straight up, cold blooded. Wild stuff. Let's see. We have any emails here tonight. I think we might have one or two. Let's see. Let me see what I've got. Yeah, I think we got a couple here. Let's see. Hi, Josh. Does Rick Santorum's opponents intend to point out his ties with the Vatican? Why would they? Do you honestly think these guys are going to say anything about their opponents when, they could run the risk of people actually looking into some of that stuff for themselves and find out all these people are connected to that? Hell no. No, all this stuff's controlled. What they're mudslinging, what they point out, their attacks, all controlled stuff. They have a limit. They're not allowed to go, to certain areas, but it's WWF, man. It's just like wrestling. There's certain moves they can do and certain things they can do on TV and make it look real, but there's other things they can't do because they can't cross the line and somebody will get hurt. Well, that's what they do. This is scarier than Bush because he's an Irishman who will flush America and the entire world down the toilet in regards to the Iran issue. I also want to know your take on the European Parliament ties to the CMP e.g. Reverend Ian Paisley, EMP with Tim LaHaye anti-Catholic beliefs. He also became close friends with Jesse Helms and Bob Jones III. Well, that's just the Freemason connection, though. Yeah, I've talked about that before. There's a direct connection to European Parliament through the CMP, through these guys, because it's the Freemasonic connection. Bob Jones III is a Freemason. Jesse Helms is a Freemason. Ian Paisley, Freemason. All these guys. Tim LaHaye. So that's really about as far as the connection really goes there. But these the CMP, people think about the CMP as being just a group that operates only in the United States, but as you find, they're connected to the UK, especially heavily connected to the UK. And the reason why that's important, is, as I've talked about many times here on the show, is because they connect directly to the London School of Economics and the Fabian Society, and that's really what the formation of the CMP was about. Was ensuring no matter who you vote for on what side of the phony political spectrum, you're going to get socialism. And there was a story that came out last week. I referenced it when I was on Lee Rogers' show last week. You can Google Santorum's Communist Clan. That was the name of the article. Santorum's Communist Clan. It was all about his whole family being communists. Yeah, these guys, it's been that way for years. These guys that were running around in the heart of the McCarthy era, and after that, calling everybody a communist, were actually communists. And that's still so difficult for people to wrap their minds around, but it's the truth. I also mentioned in a previous email about similarities in the United States and Russia with the white nationalists' growing power. I saw an article in a national newspaper about Slovak neo-Nazis taking refuge in Ireland. Well, yeah, I mean, that stuff's everywhere. White nationalist stuff is... It's all over the place. Yes, it's very prominent in Ireland. It's very prominent in Russia, Poland. It's very prominent in a lot of places. It's never died, and a lot of these, the reason this stuff stays around is because they got funding. That's because you got hype. I mean, my God, man, watch my films. This white supremacist stuff stays around and stays in relevant because the people that fund it believe in those ideologies all the way up to the top of the food chain of the world order. So, yeah, I mean, you're going to see franchises and, if you got McDonald's in every country, you're going to have white supremacists in every country. That's just the way it is. But I appreciate your email there, Mark. Great points, and thanks for bringing those things up. This one is from Nick Spiro. He says, Josh, please read this on air. Okay. Love your new film. If you were to produce a 2.5 version, love to see some of Mae Brussels' work involving the Temple of Set included. People keep bringing up Mae Brussels to me. I did a show. I don't remember when it was. 6 months, a year ago, I had looked into the Mae Brussels thing, and remember I talked about that. I wasn't going to endorse her work because I can't even remember the reason now. It's been so long. But there was some reason why I was not. There was something I found on Mae Brussels when I was doing some research, but I can't remember exactly what the dirt was. Somebody in the chat room might know or remember that show when I talked about that. But I think she had connections to, Vatican people or something. I can't remember what it was. I don't know. But there was some reason why, a very good reason why I had that I didn't include some of her information before, because it seemed like she was just another gatekeeper at the time. I don't really know. Could be wrong about that, but I will definitely look more into it, Nick. It's very possible information you discovered in your research is credited to Mae's research. No, actually, that's actually not true. None of the stuff that I reference in my film came from any of Mae Brussels' work. I double checked that a few times over. Alex Constantine, while I quote Alex Constantine in the movie, he often gives props to promote Mae Brussels' work. Also, there are some people in our present time that are in the research community that could have more exposure. The researchers that belong to groups like Freedom Force International and Freedom Works are suspect to me. It made my day when you decided to put Jack Blood out there because I knew who you and Lee were talking about before you ever said his name. I have also had my experiences with Chris Geo and Sherry from Truth Frequency that I'm going to write about. I've called into their show and experienced something similar You did when you were a guest on their show. Well, I mean, somebody else needs to make a movie about this stuff, man. I mean, yes, I'm aware of all those things, but I mean, Lee Rogers is making a film about this stuff, and he's got like almost he's making a 5-hour movie. And I just refuse to do that because I actually want, I'm just afraid that if I made a 5-hour movie, nobody would want to watch it. And that's a bold move, making a movie that far. I don't, I'm not questioning his judgment on doing that. To each his own. But that's not. I'm not going to make a 5-hour film about anything. Because to me, when it doesn't, it's not 5 hours. If it's 5 hours, it's not a film anymore. It's a mini series, And we want to present it to people in that way. Because you tell people it's a movie, they're not going to expect to have to sit there and watch 5 hours of a movie. They expect a movie's, 2.5, 3 hours, 3.5 hours tops. But man, you could make 20 hours of movies. That's my thing. I've said it. I said it in the film too. There's more on these subjects and more about this stuff than I can cover and one person can cover. We need more people out there, making movies and doing stuff about this. I mean, you can't just expect the two, people that are really talking about this the most to do all the work. You know what I mean? Me and Lee can't put all the stuff that there is to put in these films and stuff on our own. Many hands make light work, and we need more people doing it. I mean, we're hardly surviving as it is. So I mean, I agree that those things do need exposing, but I'm really honestly ready to move on to some other films. I never, really wanted for this to be my exclusive topic and focus of my show or my films or my work at all. But, it's because of my continued research on these subjects with the phony right wing and the secret right and all this stuff, I've learned how important and vital the information is to get out there. So that's why I've made the 2 films that I've made on this stuff so far. But I think there's other stuff out there that warrants attention as well that I want to get more into. So I'm, as far as, this film is just now out. The idea of getting back, for me, getting back, that's why I'm having such a knee-jerk reaction to this. Even the idea, even entertaining the idea for me to do another film on these subjects anytime soon, just makes me, the idea of it makes me just want to stop doing any of this altogether. Honestly. Because, really nobody really gives a shit anyway. But I keep on trucking on, and I keep on getting out there, and I keep on, keep on keeping on and making this stuff and putting it out there for the people that do care. But for the most part, people don't give a shit how many thousands of hours and thousands of dollars are spent on this film. They don't give a fuck. They really don't care. Care less. It's not their problem. Well, that's all well and fine, but somebody has to put all those hours in. Somebody has to put all those dollars into it. And I've spent exactly the last 4 years of my life researching and focusing on these secret right fuckers. And frankly, I don't want to see their goddamn faces anymore. If I have to look at another picture of Tim LaHaye or another picture of Pat Robertson or Pastor Hagee or that other cocksucker, Michael Aquino, God damn, seriously, I can't even stomach the idea of making another film on these subjects anytime soon. Because I've just had it up to my nuts in it, dude, for the past 4 years. And I want to do something else. I want to do some other subjects. I want to do some other stuff. I'm really getting psyched and excited about getting into this rock wall thing, getting into ancient hidden archaeology of the United States. It's hidden right below us. I think it's as vital to our times as any of this other information. And so I, Nick, that's my thing. I agree 100% with everything you're saying here, brother. Believe me, I do. I'm not don't think I'm being negative towards you or something here. I'm just being honest. Just the idea of even broaching those subjects again anytime soon to me right now just makes me want to vomit, because I've still not recovered from the amount of stress and work and everything that I put my body through making the second film. I honestly, you just don't even know. And I mean, you can't even imagine. I felt when the film was done and I was done with it, and I literally, the moment it was done, literally felt like I had a 10,000 pound weight taken off my shoulders. I did. Immediately. It had gotten too much, too heavy, too big. Needed to be done and over with, because it was just starting to weigh on me, you know. And so yeah, I mean, I agree, Nick. Though, you know, all these things need to be exposed. I wish somebody else out there would take it on themselves to make films about these things that Nick is bringing up here. Why don't one of you out there do that? Shoot me an email, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. I'll forward you this email from Nick. I'll put you in touch with Nick. He can give you more information on this stuff. But yeah, I agree. You know, there are a lot of other groups and a lot of the other shows and individuals that are connected to this. But, you know, I've never, ever promised, and I never, ever will, that I'm ever going to be the guy that's going to provide you with all the answers. And my God, if you find anybody that ever does, please, 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 for you and for the sake of your own soul, run from that person as fast as you can. Because I don't care how many hours you spend researching, you're never going to know everything there is to know about this stuff. And if you say that you do, you're fooling yourself, because there's always some other angle. Believe me, I thought that I knew all there was to know about this stuff at one time. And I got bitch slapped with a cock of the CMP right in the face by former Canadian diplomat Peter Dale Scott. And, this end of it, I've been putting my heart and my soul and my good name and my well-being and my health and everything on the line for the past 4 years, going on 5 years now, exposing this secret right stuff. And yes, we've had some successes as far as the awareness that we've raised on the group. Lee Rogers the other night when we did the show, we were talking off air and stuff, and I don't pay attention to a lot of the scene anymore with the stuff. So sometimes I don't realize that my stuff is having as big of an effect. Sometimes it is, but Lee was talking about it to me. He's like, man, yeah, I mean, your films, the stuff that you've done on this has really, it's reached a lot of people, man. It's gotten you woken a lot of people up with this stuff. And I oftentimes don't get a chance to really see that, but it actually is true. A lot of people have woken up to the deeper elements of this, but all I can do is just provide you with that springboard, with that impetus for you to go on your own and research more of this stuff and find out for yourself, and become inspired to want to do something to spread that information once you find it for yourself. I can never be expected to provide you with all the answers. I would never pretend to be able to do that, and I hope that nobody would expect that from me, because it's just an unrealistic thing to expect from anybody, much less me. But good points. I'm going to continue on with Nick's email here. He says, I've called into the show and experienced something similar to what you did when you were a guest on the Truth Frequency show. Their alleged FEMA arrest was entirely suspect, and Chris Everard being on there as a regular guest makes him even more suspect. I believe we are seeing the new blood of COINTEL-controlled opposition, and Oracle Broadcasting seems to be the platform for these fuckers. Well, look, I talked about this last night too, and I've said it once, I'll say it 1,000 times. I think Doug Owen is a cocksucker. I think he's a two-faced son of a bitch. And I've told him that to his face, but he's not a COINTELPRO controlled opposition plant by any means. I can call a guy a cocksucker and say I don't like him all day long, but I'm not going to sit here and say something about the guy that's not true. And I'm certainly not going to, not stand up for it. But that doesn't matter. Doug Owen doesn't have to be, and he's not the whole figurehead. He's not the real figurehead over there anyway. I mean, that contrary to what people believe, that network was never had a figurehead. It was something that was ran by all the hosts who started it, which was myself. I did the first show ever on Oracle Broadcasting. The very first show that ever broadcast on that stream was me. Me, Lee Rogers, Doug Owen, Rob Chowda, Joel Bissett. We started that network when Mike Chambers' network folded, when he couldn't afford to pay the bills anymore. And we didn't have a home, and so we decided, I said, hey, we should start our own network. And Lee and Doug took that and ran with it. And there it was. So it doesn't, the people that own the network don't have to be, this is what you have to understand, and this is what you learn when you're in this. The people that own Oracle don't have to be in on any conspiracy or be, COINTEL-controlled opposition for there to be operators and people that most certainly are on the network. Because I mean, really, they don't really have a lot. There aren't real high standards for getting a show over there. I know people think there is, but it's really not. I mean, my God, listen to some of the shows over there now. But whether or not they're a platform, well, I think they've just become a platform for those types because they've gotten a lot of listenership. So it could easily, it's for a while there was, it was RBN was the network that was like that. I don't know. I think that focusing on all these little nonsensical idiots is just kind of a waste of time, though. Some of those people you brought up to me are just, nonsensical idiots. I had the opportunity to interview Eric John Phelps 3 times when I was hosting radio. You and I both know that there isn't something quite right about that dude. I implore you to listen to the last interview with Eric John Phelps that I did with Mystic Politics. I believe Eric John Phelps is still a member of the John Birch Society. During the interview, I kept asking Phelps to discuss his membership with the John Birch Society and kept changing the topic. You and I both know that the JBS CMP produces a so-called expert for almost every genre of the conspiratorial world. Eric John Phelps fits into the mold for the Vatican expert and has admitted to getting his start from his John Birch Society membership. Well, that's interesting. His white supremacist views fit the JBS mold and have expanded to forms such as the Unhived Mind ran by Craig Oxley that could very well be EGP himself. Well, I don't know about that. I mean, I think that guy's a real person. I think he actually is a listener of this show. I could be wrong about that. But anyway, you may remember that recently that the Unhived Mind Forum was shut down, and Sherry Kane, Leonard Horowitz take credit for bringing that site down amongst other sites. What's interesting is that when I decided to cancel my Facebook account and begin to focus on making contributions to the Unhived Mind, that site was a mirror image of how Eric John Phelps speaks in regards to white nationalism. I spoke my mind, shared many links, got banned within days, and then the site was shut down. Yeah, that's pretty shady. I also found it to be interesting that this Craig Oxley character who repeats everything EGP talks about made a claim that Lynn Horowitz was never a Knight of Malta and that it was a practical joke. Oh, okay. Yeah, just a practical joke. Yeah, right. Yeah, well, he tried to claim, I mean, he's such an idiot. What's his fuck? Horowitz. The guy's so fucking dumb that he literally tried to claim, oh, I'm not a member of the Knights of Malta. I'm a member of the Knights Hospitaller St. John of Jerusalem. Yeah, that's the other name. It's not two different groups. It's the same group. This goes against the claims that Eric John Phelps made when Horowitz was given the title. When I read this, it caused me to think about the Crossfire Show in Secret Right Volume 1 and the Geraldo Show segment you have in Secret Right Volume 2. These people are playing off each other, increasing the confusion for a lot of noobs who are new to this information. I even believe the Alex Jones EGP conflict was contrived. Well, I'll tell you this. If if Eric John Phelps wasn't connected somehow, some way to Alex Jones would not say the term Vatican assassin. Now they're Vatican assassins, folks. Call us Vatican assassin warlocks, folks. He wouldn't even say that because people are immediately going to Google that and find Eric John Phelps. Listen, Alex Jones, if he doesn't want you to get any hits on your website, he won't. That's why he will never say my name or Lee Rogers' name or on air or directly about anything. Because he knows that if he does, that he's going to give a whole bunch of people access to our information. So he'd rather ignore us than have to do that. See, that when you start hearing him mentioning Eric John Phelps by name or using the term Vatican assassins by name, that's not an accident. Because, again, Eric John Phelps is put there so people will find that Jesuit information, but then dismiss it as, kooky or whatever else. I believe I told you I met the douchebag ProThink right after he called into the Alex Jones show and cussed him out. ProThink told me that Alex Jones called him later that night, and they laughed out loud about what happened earlier that day. Also, you probably remember the email I forwarded you when he said that I've looked into the whole Black Pope thing, and there isn't anything there of relevance. And the sovereign military of Malta are a bunch of old men who get drunk together. I believe ProThink fits into the JBS mold, and he is from Wisconsin, where the JBS headquarters is located. ProThink seems to have fallen off the face of the earth, so fuck that motherfucker anyways. Somebody in Wisconsin said that there's a cable company up there that's blocking my website. So that's nice. That's always good. Yeah. Yeah, we're blocked by a lot of cable companies. And yeah, that's why, I'm not taking my website down for this SOPA bullshit. Oh, let's go black for SOPA. Yeah, fuck you, motherfucker. I got bills to pay. I got radio shows to do. I got to eat. I got to do fucking films. I ain't got time to shut down my fucking... they're already blocking my goddamn website and blacking me out in certain countries and certain, places here in the United States. L3, I know the company L3, they're blocked. Can't get my website there. There's some cable companies where my website is blocked. So they're already cock blocking me all around the board. I don't need some new legislation to be cock blocked by these motherfuckers. So sorry, I'm not going to make my website go black and jump on the bandwagon with the rest of these guys. I'll let you guys have fun and do your little protest. I'm going to continue to do. You see, that's what pisses me off about this stuff. Let's have our joint worldwide day of protest against the things that piss us off about the man. And I'm sitting there going, you know what? Well, why don't some of us do that every day? I do that every day. That's what I do. So I can't be bothered to join in when the whole rest of the world decides that one day out of the fucking year or 1 week out of the year, they want to go protest something. You want to go do that? Go have fun with that. Go protest. Go wave your sign. Go get pepper sprayed. Have fun. And then you'll go back to, shopping at the Gap and wearing Birkenstocks and doing whatever you do after that. But anyway, John Birch Society's alive and well. Directly tied to the Jesuit order. I have escaped the trap. There are many who are not. Love you, brother man, Nick Spiro. All right, Nick, thanks for the email. Yeah, great points there. Oh, but yeah, we just need more people doing this. And if there are people out there that, if you can't start a website or start a radio show, or you can't, you don't have the time, you can't do this, then look, you most definitely need to be supporting people like myself and others who are doing this. There's no paycheck for me at the end of the week from doing radio and spending 100 hours in 2 or 3 days working on a film and busting ass. No paycheck at the end of the month for that. Not at all. I get by on what I scrape by here from this show, and that's it. And yet we're the only, me and a couple other people are like the only people that are talking about this stuff. So if you can't start a website, start a radio show, if you can't do something because you're too chained to the rack of your slave job, and hey, you know what? That's that's some people's lot in life, and they have to do that. And, you know, that's all there is. That's fine. But you know what? If you can afford to donate large amounts to radio shows or people like myself who are doing this work, then do so. Small amounts. Doesn't matter. Whatever you can. But, you know, if you're too tied to your material existence to do anything yourself, then the least you can do is try and support outlets like this who are putting everything on the line to do this. And so, you know, with the stuff that Nick brought up there in that email, that's what I get frustrated with a lot of times. Just because, you know, people are always saying stuff. Oh, Josh, you need to make a film about this. You need to do a radio show about this. You need to, you know, talk about this for 2 hours. You need to make a part 3 of A Secret Right and put this in there. Man, you do it. I can't do it all. And I certainly can't do it all with little to no financial support. I mean, if we had an endless supply of cash here to mess with, you know, we had $5,000 a month to operate on, or $10,000 a month to operate on. Hey, you bet your ass we could do a whole hell of a lot more. I could hire people to help me out instead of doing all this stuff by myself. But you can't have one without the other. You see what I'm saying? I'd love to make more films about this. I'd love to make 100 films. But I have to be choosy and selective about the things that I do because there's limited funds and resources with which to do those things. And yet people still are on me. You need to do this, do that, talk about this. Man, you do it. Why do I have to be the only one? Why is it I'm the only one that has to do anything? You get off your ass and do it. I'm just a regular guy, and I got off my ass and did it. But this is exactly what got us in this situation in the first place. Putting our responsibility for the things that we need to handle up on and putting that responsibility in the hands of somebody else. And if that's going to happen, I mean, if that's all that's going to happen from my work, is that people are just going to ingest it and consume it like it's fucking any other bullshit American-made product and just rah, 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 rah. Consume, and not replace and replenish where that came from, my resource, me. And people are not going to do their own homework or do their own work and take it into their own hands to become an activist themselves and to start a radio show or make a film or a website or write songs or books or something. And we're just going to continue to say, well, Josh is the person who exposes the CMP and the secret right, so he needs to do, you know, expose this or he needs to talk about that. No, you need to do it. All of you need to do something. We cannot continue to just put all our hopes and dreams into the hero riding in on the white steed. Otherwise, folks, we're going to wind up in the same place we are now indefinitely. I get that all the time, and it's like, yeah, you know, make a film about this. Why don't you make a version and put this in there? I'd love to do all that, man. But I don't know. It's just frustrating. It's very frustrating. I answer, 50 emails a day. I get 50 emails a day on my email for the show. And I get maybe 2 emails a week saying that somebody made a donation. $10, $5, $20, whatever. Sometimes we get larger amounts. But unless, the amount of support and financial support to do more work increases, don't expect that the output of me is going to increase any more than it already is right now. That's absolutely not going to happen. It's an impossibility. It took me 4 years to make 2 films on this subject, and that's just it shouldn't be that way. We need more recruits. We need more people who are aware of this information. Because eventually, those of us, the few of us who are talking about these things and who are actually trying to wake people up to the lies that have been perpetrated by the phony truth movement and the Patriot movement and Alex Jones and Ron Paul and that whole thing, eventually, those of us who are doing all the work, eventually, we're going to get tired. And we're going to get burnt out. And we're not going to want to do it anymore. And then what's going to happen? Then there's not going to be anybody left talking about this stuff and exposing it and put it out there. And then what's going to happen? Well, then it's going to be a total wash all over again, like it has been for years. And I don't want to see that happen. But if other people don't start pitching in and doing their part and taking the helm with this stuff and raising the stink with this information and trying to get people to look at it, then eventually the few of us who are busting our ass to do this are not going to want to do it anymore. And then there's going to be no big voices speaking out, trying to get people to not fall into these goddamn rabbit trails again. But I'm just frustrated by that. It's not your fault, Nick. It's just in general, man. It's people put these. I mean, just expectations and pressure that's put on me from people who just want me to put out and perform for absolutely nothing. Not going to do that anymore. I'm not going to do it. We're going to take a break, come back, and get into some news stories for you here tonight, and then we'll get into Zachariah Sitchin. All right, back here with you on the show. Global Reality Tuesday night into Wednesday morning edition of the broadcast. So glad you could be with us here tonight. And we're going to be getting into more news and information here for you this evening. And we're going to be getting into Zachariah Sitchin's end of days. Got another email here I want to read. Hey, Josh, love your work. Just found out about you 4 days ago. Haven't been able to stop listening to you since. Anyway, was listening to a show where you were talking about the Beatles, and you mentioned Anthony J. Hilder being your good buddy and having given you a lead on something. I didn't say he was my good buddy. I just, like any of the other, when I first got into this stuff, I remember, I was pretty young. I think it was in high school. I think me and a couple of my buddies got an Anthony J. Hilder tape at a pawn shop one time. We used to always, when we first got our driver's license, we used to always love going to pawn shops looking for old, good deals on music gear and, car stereo equipment, kind of thing you do when you get your first job, you get your first wheels. And I had found this Anthony J. Hilder tape there and like a videotape, and it was one of his documentaries or something. And that was one of the things that, one of the things I was exposed to when I first started learning about a lot of this stuff. Well, when you first get into this, especially when you're a teenager, and, you generally find whatever the most out there stuff are. I had interviewed him in 2008. But to say that he was a buddy or gave me a lead on something, I don't know. I mean, but then again, I know what show your doubts with the Beatles and the Aquarian conspiracy show. I did that show in 2008, man. had been on the show, and look, and I'm not. It's not your fault. You only been listening to the show 4 days, so you wouldn't know any of this information. So that's why I'm just telling you. That was in 2008. I had only known about the CMP a very short time, and I didn't know all the information that I know now. But as far as he says, having given recently on Lee's show, you spoke of him very suspiciously. Just curious what happened. Well, what happened is that I got more information than I had at the time. Unfortunately, pretty much every single quote unquote hero or researcher or person that I looked up to as, one of my mentors or one of my people that got me into this stuff, I've had to disavow because of their connections to the stuff that I've uncovered. So yeah, I mean, you're going to hear me say stuff. If you go back and listen to shows from the archive shows, I've been doing shows for almost 5 years. I've been doing shows since September 2007, and I have grown and changed and learned more, and evolved over that time period, as you should. So, unfortunately, there are things that I said on my show in the past that I don't agree with now, or I don't believe now. And that's just how it is. And it's always going to be that way. So, you got to understand, man, if you go back, that's that Beatles and the Aquarian conspiracy show. I did that in 2008. I don't believe some of the things I believed last week, much less 3-4 years ago. It's been a constant evolution for me. And any questions that you might have about Anthony J. Hilder, I would direct you to my website, theglobalreality.com. And you can buy a copy of my new film, Cigarette Volume 2. And you can find out everything that I have found out about Anthony J. Hilder. And it's in that new film. And you can actually see the part with Anthony J. Hilder for free on YouTube. Or it's up on my website as well. Just go to YouTube and type in Josh Reeves, Cigarette Volume 2, Hour Number 1. And it should come up there and you can find it. And if you like what you see from the first hour, then go buy yourself a DVD or a Blu-ray at theglobalreality.com and watch the whole 2 hour and 48-minute movie and really learn. Hilder's just the tip of the iceberg. If you don't know about why Hilder's bad, then wow, you'd really get a lot out of both of my documentary films. So this person's name, I think it says Ronald, I guess, or I don't know if that's their name, but that's what the name is on their email. But I'm glad you found the show, man. I just, since you only been listening for 4 days, not knowing any of this stuff is not your fault. So I'm not coming down on you here. Just trying to tell you what's up. But you definitely, if you just found my work, you need to go watch my documentaries. Watch the Cigarette Volume 1, watch what's up there with the Cigarette Volume 2, get yourself a DVD or Blu-ray of that, and listen to some of the shows I've done where I've talked about some of this stuff. He also says, secondly, that show about the Beatles and the cult of Dionysus Hall. Yeah, that's the show I thought it was. Yeah, that was 2008, man. Got me thinking about Tool. Yeah, I've talked about Tool a lot here on the show as well, which is one of my favorite bands of all time. Yeah, me too. And some of the connections of Danny Carey and his father being a Mason, and sacred geometry and his drum pattern, supposedly channeling entities that helped them write their music. Yeah. Anyway, sorry I'm going on, but yeah, interesting shit. Again, love your work. Keep it up, brother. Well, thank you. Danny Carey, the drummer for Tool, actually walked in on his father while he was doing a Masonic ritual with a sword, and he was doing these sweeping motions. And if you watch Danny now, he does those sweeping motions. Tool's playing 2 sold-out shows this weekend in Dallas. God damn, I wish I could go. Tickets would be like $300. It's too much. But yeah, Danny Carey absolutely incorporates all that stuff. He, Jimmy Page at one time, guitarist for Led Zeppelin, Jimmy Page was he had the largest personal collection of original Aleister Crowley manuscripts. He no longer has that title. Danny Carey now has that title, but Danny Carey actually published a coffee table book, which you can buy, that has the prints of a lot of these manuscripts inside of it. Full color, really awesome stuff. But Tool's last album, they actually put a thing on their website that said, Tool suggests that you consult the Lesser Keys of Solomon before listening to this record. Straight up. But, you know, to be honest with you, I haven't seen yet. I mean, yes, they're using some stuff, which, you know, when you're using it, you're about a cunt hair away from using it for a negative or evil purpose if you really wanted to. But I don't think that Tool does that. They toe right on the line of it. But that's what any real magician does. And again, magician and musician being a similar word is not an accident or a mistake. And to me, that's what's interesting about their music, is because any good magi, any good magician worth his weight in salt knows that the line between the dark and the light is very thin, and that you know, you have to toe that line, otherwise you're going to go too far into the abyss. And I think that sacred geometry in his drum patterns, absolutely. The guy's a fucking monster, dude. Danny Carey's a fucking, everything he does is based on that. Maynard James Keenan actually is not even into any of that stuff. Everybody always associates him with occult stuff and all these different things because he's the lead singer and the front man. I read interviews with Maynard James Keenan about all the projects he's in, Pussifer and Perfect Circle and all that. And literally, he says he's just a singer. Like, the bands themselves come up with music and stuff like that, and a lot of times lyrics, and he just, you know, he'll have up with lyrics or whatever, but oftentimes he's just, you know, he's just the front man and the singer. He's not really the thing stuff behind that. But yeah, Danny Carey he claims he's not a member of any groups. Yeah, whatever. But yeah, he's definitely a high level magi. He absolutely is. He has this drum kit. It's a fucking it's one of a kind. It was made by the guy who's the first Jeff Ogletree. He invented being a drum technician. Before him, there was no such thing as a drum tech, someone who worked specifically on drums. He was John Bonham's drum tech, and he made Danny Carey this drum kit. There's a video of him playing it, and he can only carry it on U.S. tours. They can't carry it out of the United States because it's too heavy. And it's made out of melted down Paiste cymbals. I mean, this is a true alchemical drum set, both in terms of the way it's built for the tones that it produces and the fact the shells themselves are made out of melted down bronze Paiste cymbals. The alloys they used to make these cymbals, and then they created this kit out of it. And the fucking thing sounds like the end of the world when you hit it. I mean, it's just unfucking believable. But there's two kick drums, and each one weighs like 200 pounds. Yeah, good luck. Yeah, good luck hauling that thing down to the gig on Saturday night. Jesus Christ, are you kidding me? But yeah, I think that Tool absolutely is. There's no question, and even they admit that they use these occultic and magical incantations, and they use all this stuff in every element of their work. But you know, they're not. People aren't going out and blowing their brains out listening to it. People, you know, in fact, a lot of people that get into Tool actually are very. That's what's awesome about them, is they draw people in because of the visceral nature of their music. But what people start to find out if they've been listening to them for a while is that there's, you know, a lot more going on there than just the visceral, you know, hard music that's being played. But it's actually tons of mathematics, tons of symbolism, tons of everything there. But that's what all of music is. So they're, you know, Tool is not doing it any different. You know, the thing with Tool is they're just open about it. You know what I mean? They put the symbols and they put the iconography of the occult, and they make it very obvious I use Danny Carey's signature drumsticks. That's one of my preferred stick to use. I love them because I can wrap my big steak-eating beef eater hands around them motherfuckers because they're thick and they've got this little scoop indention on them that so when you're holding them, they don't slip out of your hand. It's an ingenious design. I love it. Plus, it's got a little cool little Eye of Ra on there, drawing in his signature. But they're just open about the fact that they use these things. There are hundreds, thousands of other artists out there who use this stuff, but they don't really play it up. I mean, my God, look at Lady Gaga. Her first video out of the gate, Poker Face. I think it was Poker Face. It might have been the one after that. It was straight out of the gates, man. Serious, rising in the background with two dogs, standing. I mean, just all over the place. But see, but you don't hear her coming out and verifying that and playing that up, really. It's kind of there in the background. You kind of have to notice it if you know about it. So that's the same way with like some of these black metal bands and some of these real hardcore satanic type groups. I respect that, to be honest with you. A lot of these guys, most of these guys are not real Satanists or not real anything, but some of them are. But I just appreciate the ones who are just upfront about it. Because that way, if you're not into the Dark Lord and you're not into, worshiping the great beast, hey, you don't have to listen. Go somewhere else. But for some reason, that's the stuff we're supposed to have a problem with. We're not supposed to have a problem with the people who blatantly use this stuff and then deny it, which happens all the time. Oh, no, we're not using cult stuff in that. You're crazy. That's what the dumb brainwashed Christians say, blah, blah, blah. No, bullshit, man. That's, if I ever get a chance to interview Dave Mustaine, and I'm hoping maybe that I will, that would be my big, tough Barbara Walters in the chair question for him. I would want to ask, if I could ask Dave Mustaine one question in the whole wide world, I would want to ask him why he did not allow certain bands, why he won't tour with certain bands who use, but see, he doesn't have a problem with Slayer, which is just strange to me because they use that all the time. No problem with Slayer, but other bands that use satanic or occult iconography, he won't tour with those bands because he's a Christian now. And I would ask him straight up why he has a problem with these bands that use this type of iconography and this type of stuff in their logos and whatnot and in their music. When, go look at their album, Megadeth's album, Endgame. You got a big Masonic G there in the middle of where it says Endgame with a bright Stargate in the background, which Dave Mustaine in an interview actually physically said himself. It was actually an interview with Alex Jones that Dave Mustaine did. And he said in that video that was a Stargate in the background. Well, yeah, we got the Stargate looking thing back here with the G. And then you open up the inside cover and Mustaine's got on a double-headed eagle shirt. So I would want to know, either number one, are you ignorant of that? Or are you a hypocrite? Because, how can you sit there and say, I don't like these bands or I don't like these people, that I won't allow these people to tour with me or whatever else that use this symbology. And yet you look at Dave Mustaine, he's got, even to this day, it's not like, I understand he tries to say he was into black magic and all that stuff back in the day, but we're talking about modern day stuff. It's still there. Saw a concert video of him from, I think it was called One Night in Buenos Aires or something like that. And at the very end, for like 2 seconds, he's got his shirt off, and I don't think he has his shirt off on that part, but he lifts his hands up, and his shirt comes up, and you can see he's got a big Maltese cross belt buckle on. I think he's going on the Alex Jones show. Those kind of things like that. And if you're gonna be one of these, occultists or whatever, just come right out with it. But don't go, saying you've got a problem with this band over here because they use, pentagrams and stuff on their album covers when, Slayer is using it all over there, and over there he's happy to tour with, the Big Four and do all that stuff. and you're sitting there using, Masonic G's coming out of, big bright lights and wearing double-headed eagle shirts. I mean, give me a break. Well, it's good for the goose, ain't good for the gander, eh? But anyway, thanks for your email, Ronald. I appreciate that. GlobalRealityShow@gmail.com is my email address if you would like to send in emails anytime. That's where you do it. Let's see what we have in the news stack here tonight, folks. You guys ever watch the show on FX, The League? I love that show. Oh, it's my favorite show. I don't have cable or anything, but I download it, get it on iTunes. But I started watching that in 2009 when it first came on because of John LaJoie, the comedian. We play his songs here. Every time you hear a funny song, sometimes on the radio, on my station, a lot of times it's John LaJoie. And there's an episode of this show, The League, where it's a hilarious show. I love it. But there's an episode called The Sukkah, and the character of Ruxin in the show is trying to get his son, baby Jeffrey, into a Jewish preschool. So he has this Jewish sukkah thing at his house for this Jew lady, and it's kind of this whole theme throughout the show is that he has to have this sukkah so he can try to get his kid into a private school at his house. But yet he has this big pothole in front of his house, and he didn't want people to scrape their cars on it. Well, they were sitting in the bar talking about it, and he says, well, why don't you just call the city and have them come out? And he said, I've called the city 100 times, and they don't care. And then Taco, John LaJoie, says, yeah, they're too busy removing graffiti in my neighborhood. And they get in this conversation about, all racially insensitive stuff has to be removed by the city immediately. So Ruxin, who's a Jew, who's married to a Catholic, that's greatness, decides to go and paint a big swastika over the pothole so that the city will come out immediately and fix the graffiti and also simultaneously fix the pothole. And it works. And then they notice that when they send out the invitations that there was Google Maps connection to his house to show where, how to get to his house. And lo and behold, on the Google Maps, the Google Earth happened to catch a picture of him spray painting the swastika and look it up in the sky and painting it on his house. And then there's other jokes later that have to do with the swastika and all this stuff. But anyway, my point is that that exact plot from that show actually happened. It's unbelievable. Jewish man arrested for swastikas and anti-Semitic calls. Now, actually, this is very real because a lot of this stuff is actually a lot of stuff actually does come from the Mossad, because this is how they get these guys to get on board with radical Jewish groups and Zionist groups and whatnot. It's where do you think the whole false flag ideology originated from? I mean, Israel was the head of that kind of thing. But that's what they do. They have to keep this, plight of the Jew thing going so they can continue their radical causes. So yes, they attack their own kind to make it look like there's, Jewish hate going on, all that kind of stuff. Absolutely. A Jewish man was arrested on hate crime charges on Monday, accused of making anti-Semitic telephone calls to his mother, to his own mother. You imagine that shit? But this thing's out of his mind, man. I mean, fuck. I thought Ruxin on the show was a dirty, conniving piece of shit. He's a saint compared to this guy in real life. See, that's how it is nowadays. The fiction can't even create characters that are as bad as what we see in the real world. It used to be the other way around. Remember that? Remember those days when you could watch a TV show or watch a movie, and that was why you watched it, because you'd see the extremes of things that weren't in real life. like Jason or, or Freddy Krueger or some serial killer or something. See, now it's got to the point where it's the other way around. Now the characters in real life are way worse than anything people can cook up in fiction. Because somebody's writing out some sitcom or some TV show going, oh, man, no, hell no. No way we can go there. They won't let that shit on air. And then, stuff in real life's worse than that. This guy's calling up his own mother going, you old kite bitch. You old fucking dirty Jew whore. You dirty, nasty, gefilte fish bitch. You stupid Jew. You're gonna fucking die, you kite bitch. Sorry, Mom. I'll hang up the phone now. Sorry about that. Yeah. I'll be in synagogue this week. Okay, see you later, Mom. What the fuck? It's calling up his mother, you kite bitch. You fucking dirty Jew. That guy's out of his fucking mind. Holy shit, man. Somebody needs to give this guy his own show, right? This guy's completely off the chain. A family business dispute drove David Haddad, 56 of Manhattan. Yeah, of course, he's from New York. Who is Jewish to make the threatening phone calls to his mother, 80, and two other women aged 87 and 78. He threatened to kill the other individual on the phone as well as her relatives. He basically said that all Jews should die and go to hell. Every one of you dirty, stinking Jews needs to go to hell. Is that you? Is that you, David? Why are you telling me to go to hell? Why are you calling me a kite bitch? I don't understand this, David. Oh, man, that is off the chain. Completely. Let's see what else we have. Scientists are confirming a recent and rare invasion from Mars. Meteorite chunks from the red planet that fell in Morocco last July. That is only the fifth time scientists have confirmed chemically Martian meteorites that people witnessed as they fell. The fireball was spotted in the sky 6 months ago, but the rocks were not discovered on the ground in North Africa until the end of December. Well, my question is, what the fuck is slamming into Mars right now that's causing pieces of it to come fall to Earth? I bet you $1 they don't answer that question here in this article. This is an important and unique opportunity for scientists trying to learn about Mars' potential for life. So far, no NASA or Russian spacecraft has returned bits of Mars, so the only Martian sample scientists can examine are those that come here in meteorite showers. Scientists and collectors of meteorites are ecstatic, and already the rocks are fetching big money because they are the rarest things on Earth, rarer than even gold. A special committee of meteorite experts, including some NASA scientists, confirmed that the test results Tuesday. They certified that 15 pounds or 7 kilograms of meteorite recently collected came from Mars. The biggest rock weighs more than 2 pounds. Astronomers think millions of years ago, something big smashed into Mars and sent rocks hurtling through the solar system. After a long journey through space, one of those rocks plunged through Earth's atmosphere, splitting into smaller pieces. And this is one of the, waters above the firmament and Tiamat and Marduk and all that stuff that's described in the Sumerian text. Most other Martian meteorite samples sat around on Earth for millions of years, or at very least for decades before they were discovered, which makes them tainted with Earth materials and life. These new rocks, while still probably contaminated because they have been on Earth for months, are pure. The last time a Martian meteorite fell that was found fresh in 1962, and all the known Martian rocks on Earth add up to less than 240 pounds. So, what's so special about it? Just because it's rare? Can you eat it? I mean, can you pay off your credit card debt with it? Does it make your shit stay hard? No, it's funny. It's funny what just the way we put value on things. Medieval Arabic texts suggest that Egyptian Queen Cleopatra VII was a brilliantly was a brilliant early mathematician, chemist, and philosopher who wrote science books and met weekly with a team of scientific experts, according to a forthcoming book. If historians can verify the medieval accounts, and the real Cleopatra likely bore little resemblance to the sexy seductress described by Greek and Roman scholars. So imagine that, yeah. So she was actually a smart scientific type and not a dirty, filthy, stinking whore that had trains ran on her by everybody in Egypt. That's pretty much what they make it out to be. But of course, we find out, she was actually smart and well-spoken and a chemist and a philosopher and mathematician. But no, everybody wants to think she was just some, filthy whore that could be used for things I won't even say here on the show. Well, Google search will give you a little indicator on that. Brains of 40 dead children removed and kept in jars in UK hospitals. Yeah, for 15 years. Just no reason. People are finding out 15 years later. Oh, by the way, yeah, remember your kid that died 15 years ago? Remember how horrible that was? Oh, God, yes, I do. Oh, my God. Yeah, well, we've had his brain here in a jar for 15 years. We never told you. How about that? You like that? Yeah. That's how we roll. We just keep brains around just in case we might need some. Sick puppies. Oh, this is a great one. We got to get this one up on theglobalreality.com. The cyborgs are coming. The cyborgs are coming. Living brains implanted with electronic chips to replace faulty parts. Well, we're here now. Congratulations, it's 2012. Cyberdyne's cybernetic interface is on its way, baby. I hope you're ready. Faulty parts of living brains have been replaced by electronic chips in an astonishing and controversial scientific breakthrough. It's a move that has been anticipated many times in science fiction with creatures such as the Terminator, a cyborg hybrid of flesh and machinery. I would have went with RoboCop on this one. Yeah. Until we see a real RoboCop, I won't be impressed. Take some cop that got blown away and turn him into RoboCop, and then we'll talk. But now researchers at Tel Aviv University, of course, it's happening in Israel, of course, have successfully created circuits that can replace motor functions, such as blinking, and implanted them into brains. They hope the technology could, in the future, help people suffering from brain malfunction, such as Parkinson's disease, by replacing damaged or malfunctioning tissue with chips that perform the same function. Imagine there's a small area in the brain that's malfunctioning, and then imagine that we understand the architecture of this damaged area. So we try to replicate the part of the brain with electronics. Mintz has already successfully implanted a robotic cerebellum into the skull of a rodent with brain damage, restoring its capacity for movement. However, anti-vivisection campaigners have described the experiment as grotesque. But this is, man, you understand who's putting all the money into this, right? Medical industrial complex. They're putting big money into this stuff. Any R&D that they can do, research and development for technologies which are essentially life extension technologies that they can put a premium on, they're all about. And that's the future that they have designated for you and I. It's not just going to be in the future, folks, like it's been, the regular old feudalism. No, this neo-feudalism is going to be a technological neo-feudalism. It won't just be the haves and the have-nots anymore. It'll be the merged with machine robots of the have-nots. If you play the game and you work in society the way society wants you to, and you're a real go-getter, mainstream, do what the mainstream wants you to do person, well, then, you'll be able to afford these life extension technology things. And if you're poor, broke, and white trash, and destitute, and don't want to work in their system, well, you're not, and you won't live as long. Sorry. We're going to stay down here and be gods while you go off to another plane. Have fun. You guys have fun down here jerking each other off in your fucking coffins and running around naked in the woods, fucking each other in the ass, acting like little pansies wearing fairy wings. You guys have fun now. Jesus Christ. That's really what they want to do, isn't it? Turn the world into their big fairyland playground. Here's the best news I've heard all week. I know you guys have been waiting for this one. artificial meat grown in a lab could become a reality this year. So that's wonderful. So you'll have to check what you're eating now even closer, because what you get may not even come from a goddamn animal that once was living anymore. It may just come from something they cooked up in a fucking, I mean, talk about Soylent Green. Jesus, at least Soylent Green was people, you know? Again, another case where the reality is much worse than the fiction. Yeah, Soylent Green is people. Yeah. Well, so what? At least it's good protein. The shit they're going to be serving us now, it's not even Soylent Green. It's not even people. It's just, goo and fucking, gross, nastiness. Horrible, horrible stuff. Well, that's all the news we got for tonight. We're going to take a break, come back, and get into the end of days with Zachariah Stitching for you here tonight on the show. TheGlobalReality.com is my website, folks. We do need some support right now. Our achievement banner has been stagnant for the past week. The stream bill's due tomorrow. We got to get that paid. So we need your help right now, and we need to get some cash going here. We've got to meet that goal this month on our achievement banner, and not at 1 cent short, so we can continue on with our work in 2012, folks. And it's vitally important that if you want to see this work continue, that you support us real soon. Stay with us. This is the Global Reality right here on the Global. All right, back here with you on the show. Global Reality Late Night Moonbat edition for you here tonight. So glad you could join us. And we've got more show for you. We're going to be getting into the lost. I'm sorry, not lost. I just read it. I had an email up here. We're actually getting into the end of days by Zachariah Stitchin on the show here tonight. So knock my cup off. It's good it was empty. And so we're going to be getting in to that for you. Oh, what'd I lose? No consequence. But anyway, I had one more email I wanted to read for you here tonight as well. And this comes from Bradley. I don't know if he's going to hear this or not, because problem is that a lot of people think that since people make the YouTube videos from the show now, a lot of people think that that's my channel, so they go comment on there, and they think that I'm seeing those comments when oftentimes I'm not. And they also think that that's the only outlet. Well, if you're listening to this on a YouTube video later on, please understand that this actually comes from a broadcasted radio network show, and it comes here from the Global Reality, my website, theglobalreality.com. And so if you're out there in YouTube land and you enjoy those YouTube videos that you think is a show, go to my website, theglobalreality.com, and kick in a little something in the donation tray there and help us out. But I want to make it clear that, sometimes I can't send back emails to everybody, so I respond on the radio show, and I'll get flooded with emails. How come you never answer my question, you dick? Well, that's because if you would actually follow the links and understand, I mean, I don't know, maybe people make the YouTube videos, media make it more apparent that this is originating from this show on this radio network, not just a YouTube video. You know what I mean? But anyway, Bradley says, hi there, Josh. I love your videos on YouTube about the Lost Book of Enki and others as well. Just wondering about what the cities of the Anunnaki may have looked like. Could it be possible that when man rebuilt those cities, I think that's what you read in those tablets in the book, do you think that maybe the Sumerians were trying to copy as best they could what they knew from legend about the Anunnaki after the flood deluge happened? Well, no, because the Sumerian, supposedly the Sumerians were wiped out by some kind of nuclear weapon. They call them the weapons of terror. Kind of funny. That's what we call, not far off from what we call now. Supposedly they were wiped out from that. No, the Sumerians weren't operating off of some old information. The gods themselves, the Anunnaki, supposedly lived on Earth during that time and were instrumental in helping the humans, their creations, create these cities. That's why the Sumerians had such complex agriculture and irrigation and even sewer systems and all that stuff on the first try. Man, out of the dirt, out of nothing. These guys had civilization literally overnight. Now, that's mainstream archaeologist, mainstream historical record. That it literally popped up out. So I think maybe you're getting some stuff confused there, not really understanding the facts. They absolutely had had help. Were being helped by these quote unquote gods, the Anunnaki. But I mean, I'm kind of confused about the question. But are you asking? Because he says, do you think the Sumerians were trying to copy as best they could what they knew from the legend about the Anunnaki after the Great Flood deluge? But no, but I also think that, and that's part of what I hope to answer with my next documentary film, getting into some of the ancient rock wall and these other ancient civilizations in the United States. It's definitely, I don't have all the answers yet. Again, hoping to find that during the research for the next film, but I think there is definitely a case for the fact that, yes, I mean, civilizations have been rising and falling on this earth, and we've been building upon the ashes of the old for far longer than what the historical record indicates and far longer than what the history books indicate. So, yes, we do have a history of doing that, and I think that's what I hope to show and hope to bring out more and more is that, yes, this has been going on for a long time, and some of these ancient cities and stuff are actually documented in some of these ancient Sumerian texts. But we're just told they're natural formations or whatever else because we don't want to have to answer the tough questions. So thank you, Bradley, for the email. We're going to get into chapter 4 now, the end of days from Zechariah Sitchin, of gods and demigods. The decision of Marduk to stay in or near the contested lands and to involve his son in the struggle for mankind's allegiance persuaded the Enlilites to return Sumer's central capital to Ur, the cult center of Nannar. It was the third time that Ur was chosen to serve in that capacity, hence the designation Ur-3 for that period. The move linked the affairs of the contending gods to the biblical tale and the role of Abraham, and the intertwined relationship changed religion to this day. Among the many reasons for the choice of Nannar as the Enlilite champion was the realization that contending with Marduk had expanded beyond the affairs of gods alone and had become a contest for the minds and hearts of the people, of the very earthlings whom the gods had created, who now made up the armies that went to war on behalf of their creators. Unlike other Enlilites, Nannar, or also known as Sin, was not a combatant in the wars of the gods. His selection was meant to signal to people everywhere, even in the rebel lands, that under his leadership an era of peace and prosperity would begin. He and his spouse Ningal were greatly beloved by the people of Sumer, and Ur itself spelled prosperity and well-being in its very name, which meant urban, domesticated place, and came to mean not just city, but the city, the urban jewel of the ancient lands. Nannar's temple there, a skyscraping ziggurat, rose in stages within a walled sacred precinct where a variety of structures served as the god's abode and the residences and functional buildings of a legion of priests, officials, and servants who attended to the divine couple's needs and arranged the religious observances by king and people. Beyond those walls, there extended a magnificent city with 2 harbors and canals, linking it to the Euphrates River. A great city with a king's palace, administrative buildings, including for scribes and record keeping, as well as for tax collecting. Oh, yeah, the tax man. So, well, see, there you go. Another thing we can thank these Anunnaki motherfuckers for, right? Yeah. They're the ones that brought about the income tax, first off. So not only do they seed us with life and culture and all this, they also brought us the wonderful tax collector. Thank you so much, Anunnaki. We really appreciate that. Multi-level private dwellings, workshops, schools, merchants, warehouses, and stalls, all in a wide street where, at many intersections, prayer shrines open to all travelers were built. The majestic ziggurat with its monumental stairways, though long in ruin, still dominates the landscape even after more than 4,000 years. But there was another compelling reason Unlike contending Ninurta and Marduk, who were both immigrants to Earth from Nibiru, Nannar was born on Earth. He was not only Enlil's firstborn on Earth, he was the first of the first generation of gods to be born on Earth. His children, the twins Utu, Shamash, and Inanna Ishtar, and their sister Ereshkigal, who belonged to the gods' third generation, were all born on Earth. They were gods, but they were also Earth's natives. All that was without doubt taken into consideration into the coming struggle for the loyalties of the people. The choice of a new king to restart a fresh kingship in from Sumer was also carefully made. Gone was the free hand given to or assumed by Inanna Ishtar, who chose Sargon, the Akkadian, to start a new dynasty because she liked his lovemaking. Man, this shit just sounds like fucking Dune, doesn't it? It's like Dune and Klingons from Star Trek all wrapped into one. Sargon, the Akkadian. I mean, come on. It sounds pretty close to, Paul Atreides of the clan Atreides, The sleeper has awakened. She wanted to start a new dynasty all because she liked this fool's lovemaking. Unbelievable. So you see, it's not just Enki that was going around pouring beer pitchers of his sperm into any womb that was around at the moment. No, even the chicks couldn't keep their legs closed. She started a new dynasty because she liked the way this fool fucked her. I think I like the way you fuck. Let's start a new civilization, shall we? Jesus Christ, can we go out on a second date, please? I don't know, from first base to fucking grand slam the first night, man. I mean, I know my dick's good, but goddamn. You're already starting to want to start a new dynasty? You like the dick that much? Slow down, girl. Shit, let's go out to a fucking Olive Garden or something first before you start talking about let's start a dynasty. Shit, that's strong words. The new king named Namu was carefully selected by Enlil and approved by Anu, and he was no mere earthling. He was a son, the beloved son of the goddess Ninsun. She had been the reader, we'll call, the mother of Gilgamesh. Since this divine genealogy was restated in numerous inscriptions during Namu's reign, and the presence of Nannar and other gods, one must assume that the claim was factual. This made Namu not only a demigod, but, as was the case of Gilgamesh, 2/3 divine. Indeed, the claim that the king's mother was the goddess Ninsun placed Namu in the very same status as that of Gilgamesh, whose exploits were well remembered and whose name remained revered. The choice was thus a signal to friends and foes alike that the glorious days under the unchallenged authority of Enlil and his clan are back. All that was important, perhaps even crucial, because Marduk had his own attributes of appeal to the masses of mankind. That special appeal to the earthlings was the fact that Marduk's deputy and chief campaigner was his son Nabu, who not only was born on Earth, but was born to a mother who herself was an earthling. For long ago, indeed, in the days before the deluge, Marduk broke all traditions and taboos and took an earthling woman to be his official wife. Because earthling women got the good poontang, man. Everybody knows that. Everybody in the whole galaxy knows that. Well, in some cases, not all cases. Sometimes it's not good at all, but, still better than Anunnaki vag. Oh, that stuff. Whew. Man, you ever ate at Arby's before? Next time you go to Arby's, take one of their sandwiches and hold it sideways. Yeah, that's what Anunnaki vag looks like. Not that I've seen it or anything, but that's what I'm told. That young Anunnaki took earthling females as wives should not come as a shocking surprise, for it's recorded even in the Bible for all to see, right? Yeah, made it with the daughters of man. What is little known even to scholars, because the information is found in ignored texts and has to be verified from complex god lists, is the fact that it was Marduk who set the example that the sons of God followed. And it came to pass when the earthlings began to increase in number upon the earth, and daughters were born unto them, that the sons of the Elohim saw the daughters of the Adam, that they were compatible. And they took unto themselves these wives of whichever they chose. Genesis 6 1-2. The biblical explanation of the reasons for the great flood in the first 8 enigmatic verses of chapter 6 of Genesis clearly points to the intermarriage and its resulting offspring as the cause of the divine wrath. The Nephilim were on the earth in those days and thereafter too, when the sons of the Elohim came unto the daughters of the Adam and had children by them. My readers may recall that it was my question as a schoolboy of why Nephilim, which literally means those who have come down, who descended from heaven to earth, was usually translated as giants. It was much later that I realized and suggested that the Hebrew word for giants, Anakim, was actually a rendering of the Sumerian Anunnaki. The Bible clearly cites such intermarriage, the taking as wives between young sons of the gods, sons of the Elohim, the Nephilim, and female earthlings, daughters of the Adam, as God's reason for seeking mankind's end by the deluge. My spirit shall no longer dwell in man, for in his flesh they erred. And God repented that he had fashioned the Adam on earth and was distraught. And he said, let me wipe the Adam that I have created off the face of the earth. The Sumerian and Akkadian texts telling the story of the deluge explained that 2 gods were involved in that drama. It was Enlil who sought mankind's destruction by the deluge, while it was Enki who connived to prevent it by instructing, quote-unquote, Noah to build the salvaging ark. When we delve into the details, we find that Enlil's, I've had it up to here, anger on one hand, and Enki's counter efforts on the other hand, were not just a matter of principles. For it was Enki himself who began to copulate with female earthlings and have children by them, and it was Marduk, Enki's son, who led the way to set the example for actual marriages with them. By the time their mission Earth was fully operative, the Anunnaki stationed on Earth numbered 600. In addition, 300 were known as the Agigi, those who observe and see. So those are the watchers. So there we have a very clear declination of, because you see the Nephilim referred to in the Bible, you see the watchers referred to, but the watchers are actually these Agigi, and that's their job. That's those who observe and see. They don't do anything else but just observe and watch and document what's going on. Those are the ones that are referred to as the watchers. They had planned a planetary way station on Mars and the spacecraft shuttling between the 2 planets. We know that Ninmah, the Anunnaki's chief medical officer, came to Earth at the head of a group of female nurses. It is not stated how many they were or whether there were other females among the Anunnaki, but it's clear that in any event, females were few among them. Well, that's okay. Enki just went in his lab and whipped up some vag. He's like, fuck, there's hardly any women here. I mean, this is a total sausage fest. We got to do something about this. Yeah, I'll just go in here and get my lab, whip up a little female there. Yeah, that's good. Yes, let's pour some seed into that real quick. The situation required strict sexual rules and supervision by the elders, so much so that according to one text, Enki and Ninmah had to act as matchmakers, decreeing who should marry whom. Enlil, a strict disciplinarian, himself fell victim to the shortage of females and date raped a young nurse. Really, Zechariah? Really? You really got that much information? Did it really say that in the text? Did it really say that he date raped her? I'd love to see that. I'd love to see that translation. And Enki did slip his young victim a roofie, and he did slip her something else after that. Hot beef injection. For that, even he, the commander-in-chief on Earth, was punished with exile. The punishment was commuted when he agreed to marry Sud and make her his official consort. And then Lil, she remained his sole spouse to the very end. Enki, on the other hand, is described in numerous texts as a philanderer with female goddesses of all ages managing to get away with it. Moreover, once daughters of the atom proliferated, he was not adverse to having sexual flings with them. I mean, anything to get his dick wet, dude. Didn't matter. Animal, mineral, vegetable, he'd take it all. Sumerian texts extolled Adapa, the wisest of men who grew up in Enki's household, was taught writing and mathematics by Enki, and was the first earthling to be taken aloft to visit Anu on Nibiru. The text also revealed that Adapa was a secret son of Enki, mothered by an earthling female. Apocryphal texts inform us that when Noah, the biblical hero of the deluge, was born, much about the baby and the birth caused his father Lamech to wonder whether the real father had been one of the Nephilim. The Bible just states that Noah was a genealogically perfect man who walked with the Elohim. That's great. Sumerian texts, where the flood's hero is named Zisidra, suggest that he was a demigod son of Enki. It was thus that one day Marduk complained to his mother that while his companions were assigned wives, he was not. I have no wife, I have no children. And he went on to tell her that he had taken a liking to the daughter of a high priest, an accomplished musician. There is no reason to believe that he was the chosen man in Meteranki of Sumerian text, the parallel of the biblical Enoch. Oh, there is reason to believe that he was. Okay. Verifying that the young earthling female, her name was Tisarpanet, agreed, Marduk's parents gave him the go-ahead. The marriage produced a son. He was named Insag, lofty lord, but unlike Adapa, who was an earthling demigod, Marduk's son was included in the Sumerian god lists, where he was also called the divine Mesh, a term used, as in Gilgamesh, to denote a demigod. He was thus the first demigod who was a god, and later on, when he led the masses of humans in his father's behalf, he was given the epithet name Nabu, the spokesman, the prophet. For that is what the literal meaning of the word is, as is the meaning of the parallel biblical Hebrew word Nabi, translated prophet. Nabu was thus the godson and an Adam son of ancient scriptures, the one whose very name meant prophet, as in the Egyptian prophecies earlier quoted. His name and role became linked to the messianic expectations. So we're going to stop right there, and wow, good stuff there again tonight. More explanations. Again, a lot of this stuff so far is kind of a review of some of the stuff we talked about in the Lost Book of Enki, but starting to come together a lot more, and it's going to be interesting to see where this book goes. I don't know where this book goes. I haven't read it, but I just thought it would be one of those fun things to read right now that we're in 2012, and this is supposed to be the end of days, 2012. All right, well, let's get into this and see what's horseshit and what isn't. So that's what we're doing. And I want to thank everybody for tuning in and being with us here tonight. TheGlobalReality.com is our website. Please support our work so we can continue, folks. And we got a long way to go and a short time to get there on our chip-in banner. And we got to pay a stream bill tomorrow. Otherwise, there ain't going to be any more shows. So help us out if you can. My name's Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. And you guys have a great one. Take care.